日本時間9月30日、米メディア、ドジャースネーションに、地元放送局、スポーツネット LA で解説を務める、元ドジャースのジェリー・ヘアストン・ジュニア氏が出演しました。ポストシーズンに進出したドジャースについて、番組内で、ジェリー氏は、ドジャースの投手陣について、キケ選手を、スタメンで起用すべき理由、カーショー投手の出場について、語りました。また、翌日から始まるポストシーズンを前に、ムーキー・ベッツ選手、ロバーツ監督が会見に応じ、大谷選手について語っていました。ここからは、その様子を字幕付きでご紹介します。
All right, so the postseason begins tomorrow, and here to break it down is the great Jerry Hairston Jr., Dodgers analyst, former Dodgers player. This guy, I call him the people's Dodgers analyst. I feel like whatever needs to be said, Jerry Hairston Jr. is the guy to say it on the post-game shows, the pre-game shows. And yesterday, Dave said that it'd be a safe bet to have Blake Snell as their game one starter. We learned earlier today, we're going to see Snell, Yamamoto, and then if it has to go to a third game, Shohei Ohtani is an option. Blake Snell feels like the right choice. I mean, this is a guy, career 333 postseason ERA. He's pitching as well as all of these guys. And really, there is no right and no wrong answer when it comes to these top of the rotation guys. They're all elite. But talk about the decision to go with Blake Snell in game one.
Well, I think sometimes they'll figure out who they were going to play against first. You know, who knows if that would have been the decision. Let's say if the Mets were able to get in, maybe they went Yamamoto. But either way, like you mentioned, all three of them, really all five guys you can run out their game one, including Emmett Sheehan. He's a guy who's pitched extremely well. So listen, you go Blake Snell, game one. Obviously, he's pitched in big games before. He's pitched in World Series before against the Dodgers. So he's a guy that's pitching extremely well. I like the matchup. He poses some problems for the Cincinnati Reds. He's a lefty as well, can shut the run game if they were to get down to first base. Possibly a little better. So, but make no mistake about it. Dodgers have the horses 1 through 5, 1 through 6 to get it done. And in a short series too, you got to be able to play well right away. You're playing against a team, the Reds have nothing to lose. You know, they're playing with house money. So you expect them to be very aggressive at the plate and very aggressive on the bases.
Yeah, Ellie De La Cruz, he struggled against lefties all year. This Reds team, they struggle against lefties. It feels like the right choice. And it's like a rich billionaire going to his garage. And he's like, do I take the Ferrari, the Bugatti, the Lamborghini? I mean, I've seen your car, by the way, Jerry. I know that you're balling too. You got one of those nice rides, right? So it's like, there is no wrong choice, man. They're all elite in their own right. But having Shohei Ohtani in the third game, I think is interesting to me too, because the second game, the first game, so we'll see how things play out. But having that guy with really has electric stuff to be the actual stopper of that series where there's no tomorrow, I like that too. And then hopefully you just shut out and you win those first two games. You don't have to use Ohtani, and he gets that extended rest for the DS.
I agree with that. You know, there's nothing wrong with having a guy like Shohei Ohtani available in your back pocket if there is a third game at home. That definitely, I think, gives the Dodgers an edge. But we're hoping to get game one. I think that's the biggest thing. I can't stress enough.
Yeah, I think you look at this team, and you mentioned starting rotation, the offense, Max Muncy back, and there's really no questions about the talent of this offense. The question about this team for the last month and the entire year, quite frankly, has been the performance of the bullpen. I think it's tough to evaluate the bullpen now because we don't know what a Dodgers bullpen looks like for an extended period of time with Emmett Sheehan and Roki Sasaki and potentially Clayton Kershaw and using Tyler Glass now, and maybe even Shohei Ohtani in safe situations. So do you feel more confident today than you did a week ago about this bullpen?
I do. You know, listen, we all saw what Emmett Sheehan can do. He's pitched out of the bullpen before. Tyler Glasnow is a veteran guy. He's a guy that you could tell him, hey, be ready. You got the 8th and 9th inning. You can kind of prepare him. You know, I think in the ideal world, you get, let's say, a Blake Snell, who's a lefty, right? You have him pitch, hopefully go 6, 7 strong innings. You say, you know what, Emmett Sheehan, you got the 8th and 9th. Air it out. You have him have that build-up. So like-minded, he says, okay, I'm like a starter, starting to get myself in a routine in the 3rd, 4th, 5th inning and be ready to go in the 8th or 9th inning. I think that would be ideal. I don't know if they're going to do that. And then maybe game 2, you have a guy like, you know, Yamamoto gives us 6, 7 strong innings. Maybe have a guy like Glasnow go out there, give us an inning or 2, And then Roki Sasaki come out. We've seen what he can do with an inning. I think with Roki, this has been a blessing in disguise for him. Listen, the season has not gone the way he would have liked, the way he had dreamt it. He obviously wanted to be a starter and pitch well, from the beginning of the season on, but it didn't go this way. But he can save and really salvage his season and be a hero to us out of that bullpen. Be that guy who can give us that inning, maybe two, who can go out there and throw that devastating forkball to go along with a 100, 101 mile an hour fastball. So there's a lot of different ways we can use our power guys out of that bullpen. So you're right. It is yet to be seen just how great this bullpen can be.
I do want to ask you, though, I feel like you're the CEO of the Kike Hernandez fan club. Like, I don't think there's ever been a bigger supporter of Kike Hernandez. And he's been saying after every big game he's had over the last week, how much consistent at-bats and consistent playing time has led to having better results. Do you think they need to go to him early in the postseason and find starts for him? Or how do you think they work him into the lineup?
He started game one. He has to start game one. Remember, this is a short series. You don't have the luxury to say, okay, we're going to match this guy. We'll go to the analytic. No. This is now the postseason. So you really kind of throw some analytics out of the window. Now, you want all the information. The information I do know about Kike Hernandez, he's a big game player. Okay, he's a pure 280 hitter in the postseason with like 15 bombs. That's stats I want to see. And it doesn't matter if he's a righty or lefty. What I like about Kike Hernandez, because of the Max Muncy injury, now he's starting to get burned, right? He's got at-bats, and now he's starting to find his rhythm. He's taking advantage of those at-bats. So, to me, he has to be in the lineup game one. Has to. Now, Max Muncy's going to start, obviously, at third base. Now, my question, and I would ask Tommy Edman, where do you feel more comfortable with your ankle? Do you feel more comfortable maybe controlling the ankle in the outfield, let's say center field, or do you feel better at second base? So that would, to me, I'd go to Tommy Edman, where do you feel the most comfortable with your ankle? If he says he'd rather play second base, then immediately you have Kike Hernandez go in the outfield. Now, vice versa, if he feels more comfortable in center field to control his ankle, then you have Kike Hernandez play second base. Kike has to be in the lineup. Again, now, if it's a 7-game series, now I think all games are important. Maybe you can have a luxury to play this guy or play that guy. But in a short series, you don't have that luxury. You have to play your guys that perform in the postseason. That is an absolute fact. I have a feeling Kike is going to be the starting lineup game one.
I love to hear you say that because I couldn't agree more. Because my big fear is, you mentioned Hunter Green. And yeah, sure, he gave a couple home runs against the Dodgers in the regular season. That was the regular season. If you get a hot pitcher on the right day, hey, great pitching, it plays up in the postseason. And this offense is getting cold and they're a little tight. Who's the guy who came up with the big home run in Game 5 of the NLDS against the Padres? It was Kike Hernandez. And my big fear is, like you mentioned, in a 2-game series, you get down a game and you're looking at an elimination game already. And then now it's, never fear, Kike is here. By then, it could be too late, right?
Why get to that point?
Yeah.
We did that a couple of years ago, I think, against the D-backs. Why get to that point? You play your postseason performance. This is why you signed Kike. This is why you re-signed Kike. Now, Kike, we know he's fun-loving. The season is a long season. I really believe baseball season is the grind is just so mentally taxing. And maybe for a guy like Kike, it is a long season. Okay, but we do know that postseason is the real season. And that real season, Kike always shows up. So I'm a big supporter of winning. I want to win. So, I want my guys that I know that I can count on, that he's not going to shy away from the moment. Now, does he go 4 for 4? I don't know. Does he go 0 for 4? I have no idea. But I do know he's not going to be afraid of the moment. I do know that. So that's why I'm more comfortable having Kike playing in these games.
I preach. I mean, I think you can live with him not having success. What you cannot live with him is not getting an opportunity to have big at-bats. And you would have to be a long winter of regret if you don't use Kike Hernandez. I cannot agree with more. Sammy Sosa's regular season OPS for his entire career is equivalent to Kike Hernandez's postseason OPS. So in the postseason, he's like Giancarlo Stanton and Sammy Sosa. In the regular season, you don't leave a guy out of the lineup that can produce like that. Cannot agree more. I do want to ask you about Clayton Kershaw, because had it been a little emotional. I mean, this whole couple weeks for you, I know you guys are in the group chats. You've known him for a long time. I love the way he's handled and embraced this whole retirement tour. It's been really, I think, not like a season-long thing, but it's been a couple of weeks. Yesterday, I think it ended the right way. Him ending on a strikeout. He got his last strikeout at Dodger Stadium. But just what do you make on how this whole thing has played out for Clayton Kershaw? Kind of what has he meant to you as a teammate?
Well, first and foremost, Clayton Kershaw, the person, is one of the best people. Him and his wife, Ellen, best peoples I've ever been around. But what they've done in the community, not just in the LA community, in the state of Texas, but really globally with their outreach program to help so many less fortunate people and kids. My words can't give it justice. How many people and families they've helped. Them, just as people, are first class. And also with Clayton Kershaw, what he's meant, Steven Nelson made a great point yesterday, right after, or maybe I think it was right before the game. Clayton Kershaw has been in this franchise for 2 decades, 18 years. Prior to those 18 years, the Dodgers, I think, reached the postseason 4 or 5 times. When Kershaw arrived, they reached the postseason, 15 out of his 18 years, 16 out of his 18 years, something ridiculous. He has made this franchise and been the foundation for this franchise for so many years. And he has been one of the best ambassadors, not just with the Dodgers, but in pro sports. You can put Clayton Kershaw and have him represent your organization, have him represent baseball. And he's been the perfect ambassador for the game of baseball. I am so glad he is going on top athletically, and I'm hoping he goes out on top the right way in winning another championship. So Clayton, the way he's went about his business has been really second to none. I like him in the same class as Cal Ripken Jr. I played with Cal. My first 3 years in the big leagues was his last 3 years. And a guy like Tony Gwynn as well. He's certainly in that category, playing for one franchise his entire career and represented the franchise the best way. And he's just one of my favorite teammates of all time. Quietly funny. A lot of people don't know that he is kind of quietly funny. But I hope he goes out the right way with another championship.
Got to send Clayton Kershaw out on top. And the fact that he's not going to be on this wild card roster, do you think, Jerry, you've been in those clubhouses, hey, we better win this series so we can get Kersh back on the mound. You think that's happening?
I know that's happening. Listen, I love Dave Roberts and Andrew Friedman and Brandon Gomes. That's a little bit of a strategy. They're not going to admit that. But I love this strategy, knowing that, hey, Kersh, because he pitched Sunday, remember, it's a short series. So he won't be available Tuesday and Wednesday anyway. So leaving him off their roster, you better believe there's some extra motivation. You got to get to the NLDS and have Clayton Kershaw coming out of the bullpen and get further along and get to the World Series and win the World Series. Not just get to the World Series, win the World Series. So having that added motivation, kind of like winning for Kersh, I felt that energy, different in a positive way. After he made that announcement, being around those guys in that clubhouse, knowing, hey, there's an extra heightened urgency, and I think that's a great thing.
We need to see it. We would love to see it. We need to see shirtless Kersh going crazy, celebrating a World Series, going crazy at the parade, saying Dodger for life, all that awesome stuff. So I can't wait to see that.
As you guys prepare for this matchup, what do you think one poses as the biggest challenge? And what's just the feeling amongst the group as you guys get ready for this matchup?
I think once you get to postseason, everybody kind of, it's the same. It's a new season, and you got to play good baseball no matter what. These teams didn't make it here on accident. It wasn't luck. So every team is going to be really good. But that's what makes it fun. And I think we just have to play our brand of baseball and don't worry about the rest of it. Just kind of is what it is, and not really focus on what they bring, but kind of what we can control ourselves and having good at bats and throwing strikes.
Hey, Mookie, what's your evaluation of the pitching staff, particularly the starting this year going into the postseason as compared to last year?
We have 4 or 5 starters now, so we definitely a deeper there. And guys have been pitching really well. They kind of feed off each other. The front office did an amazing job giving us this type of staff, and the boys have done an amazing job in performing. So I'm sure they'll be excited and ready to go and continue their performance. And I think that's going to give us a really good shot.
So where do you think Ohtani fits in, especially in the short series?
I think with him being probably the best player in the world, he can fit in wherever he wants to fit in. So whenever he feels like he needs to go in a pitch, I'm pretty positive nobody with a Dodger uniform will say no.
Hey Mookie, congratulations on another division title. How do you guys feel collectively as a team going into the playoffs with a target on your back, you know, world champions and all of that?
I think we feel good. I mean, we're not really worried about, you know, the target on our back. I mean, that doesn't have anything to do with the task at hand. You know, I think we're all focused on what we need to do to take care of business, and we won't let anything, you know, exterior add any pressure to it.
You mentioned pitchers feeding off each other, and I guess in the notion of timely hits, do you feel like in your lineup you guys feed off each other as well?
Yeah, I would definitely say so. I definitely would say so. But you know, in the beauty of it is anybody can start it. You know, it doesn't just start from Shohei or Freddie or myself. It starts with Pies and, you know, Tommy Edman, you know, guys down there. Sometimes it's been worked at, you know. So you can start anywhere, and I think that's why we're so good. And you got to play 9 full innings to beat us, and we just have to keep applying pressure like that.
Yeah, Mookie, is there anything about that transition shortstop that you learned about yourself in that process that allowed you to sort of help with the offensive struggles over the course of the season? Just like about sort of how you handled that adversity, how you handled kind of dealing with something you'd never dealt with before?
Yeah, I think probably when that moment I had where I could just go have fun and play short, then I could kind of flip my brain back to like hitting. It's hard to go back and forth. It's a learned behavior going back and forth between defense and offense. And when I was in right, I didn't have to do that. You know, I was just playing right, and then I didn't have to think about playing right. And so at first I was playing short and had to think about everything was short and what came with that, and then had to flip it back to offense. And then once short became where I didn't have to think about it anymore, I could really think about offense. I think it slowly but surely started to get better and better.
Mookie, there was also a point in August when you guys were playing the Blue Jays where you said in front of your locker, my season's over, I just want to do whatever I can to help the team. Was in that way a kind of a relief or a turning point for you as well?
Yeah, because I think I just accepted failing, and so my thought process on failing changed. And it was, instead of looking at things as failures, I looked at it as, okay, well, I know that's not it. Now I can move to the next thing. Well, I know that's not it. I can move to the next thing. Instead of just sulking in, well, I tried this and it failed, so now I don't know where to go. Well, I just used it as positive things, and eventually turned.
Can you go over your pitching decisions for the tryout? Snell, do you have a game 2 and game 3?
No game 3. Yamamoto will start game 2.
And what's your plans for Ohtani pitching wise right now?
He'll if there is a game 3, he'll probably start game 3.
And then how about Clayton? What's your plans with him?
He threw yesterday a full ramp up, so he's not going to be on this roster.
But he'll be back perhaps if you're in the DS?
If we're fortunate enough, he'll be on the DS roster, yes.
Hey Dave, how was there much consideration of maybe doing Ohtani game 1? How much of that kind of also just on trying to manage his workload and allow him to kind of focus on hitting these first 2 games?
I think that you know, the workload, it's the proper rest for Snell, Yamamoto, and obviously we don't know what's going to happen with the game 3, but then also there's an off day after that, so just thinking through everything.
Yeah, with Ohtani, obviously if you guys could wrap this thing up kind of on the earlier side, if you could finish the series in 2 games, has implications for the next series. How much did that factor into, you know, placing Ohtani where you did?
Yeah, that played a role as well. Yeah, absolutely does.
I want to ask you about Shohei Ohtani. What's been the key to facing him? can't tell you that. You'll go tell him. You know, you don't want to let him get those arms extended because you make a mistake and it goes a long way. And he can beat you with his legs. He can beat you with his arm. He's one of the very best. He's a generational player.
Did the Dodgers just play this right? Because they've been slow playing it all along. Here, there, again, the Dodger pitchers here, if you take Kershaw out of the mix, because now he's on the rotation, look at the innings pitched. Yamamoto, full season. That's in this day and age, a 173 is a full year. 90, 73, 61, and of course 47 for Ohtani. As I said, you know, harkening back to the tricky Dick Nixon, tanned and rested, Joe. Like their rotation is nice. Oh, yeah, we barely worked this summer. What about that?
I would bet that that's what they had bet on before the season began, something just like that. I believe that was part of the game plan all along. The fact that they slow play Shohei kind of to get to this particular point. Now he's ready for this third game if it's necessary. He's Snell right here. I don't know who they're going to pitch in the second one, but I would bet Sho's ready for the third game if, in fact, it is necessary, or the first game of the next round. Typically, they do everything right. They've had this all planned out. I believe, like I said, this has been part of their strategy for a while.
Yes, it's Snell, Yamamoto, and then Ohtani. That's their top three. They made the announcement.
いかがでしたでしょうか。このチャンネルでは日本人メジャーリーガーなどを中心に野球情報をお届けしています。この動画が良かったら高評価、チャンネル登録をよろしくお願いいたします。今回も最後までご覧いただきありがとうございました。それではまた次の動画でお会いしましょう。